Do you ever feel like you're constantly overwhelmed, always on the edge, or have trouble unwinding after a long day? Well, these are symptoms of high cortisol levels. On this episode of Beyond Symptoms, we will discuss what it is to have high cortisol levels, how cortisol impacts our body, and ways to manage high cortisol levels. Let's discuss what cortisol is. Cortisol is a hormone that's released by your adrenal glands, and your adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys. When you are faced with a stressful or dangerous situation, cortisol gets activated. It's part of your fight or flight response, which is part of your sympathetic nervous system. Under these circumstances, when cortisol is released, it provides a burst of energy and alertness for you to get out of the situation, the dangerous situation, or the stressful situation that you're in. It becomes a problem when you are chronically stressed. That's when high levels of cortisol stay in your system and cause physical and mental symptoms, which we'll get into this podcast. High cortisol can manifest in many ways, but there are some symptoms that you can particularly pay attention to figure out whether you may be experiencing high cortisol yourself. One of the first ways that it manifests is through persistent fatigue, and that can show up as you being constantly tired throughout the day, no matter how much sleep you get. Another common thing I often hear is being wired at night, but extremely tired because of the high levels of cortisol that's being released in your body throughout the day and even at nighttime, making you feel constantly stressed, right? Another way it shows up is having sleep disturbances, whether that's having trouble falling asleep or having trouble staying asleep. It can really affect the amount of good quality sleep that one gets. Another symptom would be weight gain, especially around the abdomen area. And for some women and females especially, this shows up as having something called moon face and a double chin. So that's another way and another symptom that can show up with high levels of cortisol. Something else that women in particular may be experiencing are mood swings, feeling extremely anxious, having panic attacks, really not understanding how to deal with stress, regardless of anything that you do. That's a typical symptom of having high cortisol levels. You can also experience high blood pressure because of the amount of cortisol that's being released into the body. And again, this also plays into stress management and really not being able to control the amount of stress and cortisol levels throughout a time period, which will definitely elevate your blood pressure. Experiencing digestive issues is also a very common symptom of having high cortisol. So that can show up as being constantly constipated, having bloating issues, or just having stomach pain in general because you're constantly tired and you're constantly stressed out. Another symptom that's very common with high cortisol is having frequent colds and infections, because as you are more stressed out, your immunity definitely goes down. Let's talk about what can actually cause elevated levels of cortisol for a long period of time. So one of the biggest causes is chronic stress, right? Stress can be physical, it can be mental, it can be environmental. There are so many things that can cause us stress, and our response to that is really going to shape whether we experience symptoms of elevated cortisol. Some of the things to really think about and journal on when it comes to chronic stress levels are, what is our relationship to the people around us? Maybe that's causing us to be chronically stressed. It could be that we're drinking a lot of alcohol, and that can affect our liver, and that can affect the amount of stress that's on our body. It can be the amount of caffeine that we're constantly drinking just to stay energized, which is really taking a toll not only on our liver, but our ability to detox and our gut. and it's making us more chronically stressed throughout the time period, while we're working or while we're doing other things? Is it your worry about maybe finances, money worries that can also bring us a lot of stress, or your relationship to your family members, or something that's causing issues with your pets? It could be literally anything. It could be your diet. Are you eating processed foods, or are you getting healthy foods that are supporting your body and giving you the right amount of nutrients? Worry and stress is fine when it's in acute phases, because we need that to be alert and to get us to respond and to really wake up our body. The problem becomes when it's over a consistent period and it's chronic, and it makes us be in that fight or flight part of the nervous system for too long, for prolonged periods of time. So it's really important to really reflect on what really is it that's causing so much of our worry. And once we figure that out and have the awareness of that, then we can go on to better managing our symptoms and really putting our cortisol levels back into homeostasis and not allowing it to be elevated for such a long period of time. High levels of cortisol can also be caused by sleep disturbances. Having irregular sleep patterns, sleep disorders, can really throw off your cortisol levels. Having a medical condition, such as issues with your thyroid hormones, or a condition called Cushing's syndrome, can also show up as having high levels of cortisol. If you're suspecting high cortisol levels, it's essential to get tested. And there are different tests that your doctor can order to see whether you're experiencing high levels of cortisol. One way is through blood work, and that's when you measure the cortisol level at any given point when you get the blood work done. Another way, which is commonly used, is through saliva testing, and samples of your saliva are tested to see your cortisol rhythms throughout the day. Another way to test your cortisol levels is through doing a 24-hour urine test, which is also commonly done, and it just shows your cortisol output throughout the day. Another way of testing your cortisol levels, which I particularly love to do, is hair mineral testing. And this really, what it does is it shows the level of where your micronutrients are at. So that's magnesium, sodium, potassium. And while that doesn't really give you the cortisol level that your body is producing, what it tells me is the amount of stress your body is actually going through. And so if you're depleted of magnesium or you have issues with sodium and potassium, it means that you are depleted of these micronutrients that your body needs to essentially produce energy. And if you're chronically stressed, you're going to be depleted of those nutrients. And so I really like to test for those and support those as a way of really helping stress management and your cortisol levels overall. Let's talk about ways to reduce high cortisol levels and to really manage stress, essentially. Stress management is such a buzzword in the health and wellness industry, and rightfully so, because given this day and age that we live in, all of us are chronically exposed to a lot of stress, causing us to be burnt out and have those high cortisol levels, eventually leading to low cortisol levels and burnout. So it's essential to really reflect on the things that are causing us to be stressed, and then figuring out ways that work for us and our lifestyles to manage that stress. We're all going to face stress throughout our lifetimes. It's completely normal to deal with stress, but it's how we respond to it that's really going to allow us to deal with the high cortisol levels and reducing them. One of the ways that I absolutely love is meditation and mindfulness. What meditation and mindfulness do is they allow us to be in the present moment and really reflect internally, regardless of what's going on in the external world. They allow us to be present. They allow us to be mindful, which really just eases our mind and our bodies. Another great way for stress management is through yoga. Yoga allows you to really focus on your different body parts and being in the present moment while being with the flow of your body. And that allows you to get out of your mind, right? Being in your body. Even dancing helps because it allows you to shake out that energy that you're experiencing, whether it's in that moment or something that you've been dealing with for many days, years, months, whatever it is. Shaking and dancing and moving your body, anything that really allows you to move is a great way to release tension and to release those lower vibrations causing you stress. Another great way to manage stress is through breath work. Breath work, deep breathing, allows you to activate your vagus nerve, which runs from your head all the way down to your digestive area. And it allows you to be in your parasympathetic nervous system, which activates your rest and digest portion of your body. And so really it allows you to be calm and relaxed and in a good state of mind. Breathwork actually is one of my favorite ways. When I'm very stressed out, the first thing that happens is shallow breath movements and fast breath movements. So when you're relaxed, you can actually allow your body to do deep breathing, and that's not available when you're constantly stressed or you're having a stressful moment that you are responding to. So those are some great ways to manage stress and to really just be cool, calm, and collected and enjoy your day and to experience more ease. Other ways to help with high cortisol levels include having a healthy diet, really trying to avoid high doses of caffeine and alcohol, which can further cause elevated cortisol levels because they impact your liver and your body's ability to detox. And then really getting healthy sleep, having a good bedtime routine if you're having trouble falling asleep, making sure that where you're sleeping, your room has maybe blackout curtains or you're sleeping completely in the dark and with cool temperatures really help you to stay asleep. So really getting good sleep hygiene is crucial as well in terms of reducing those cortisol levels. And something else that you can do to really help your body relax is take supplements, good quality supplements, including one of my favorites, which is magnesium. When I'm getting ready for bed, I love to either use a magnesium lotion or magnesium spray on the bottom of my feet so that it absorbs easily to help me sleep. And so those are some really great ways to help you manage stress. And what you can do is incorporate the ones that you feel will work for you and your lifestyle. Not everything that we talked about today may work for you, and that's completely okay. It's really trying to find out what essentially is going to work for you and your lifestyle. I wanted to actually share an experience of one of my patients who I will just call Sarah, a 35-year-old female corporate professional, constantly tired, couldn't lose weight despite eating healthy, and she constantly felt anxious throughout the day. And so she came to me with these symptoms, and we tested her for her hormones, and her cortisol levels were definitely elevated. So we started to incorporate a lot more yoga and breath work and meditation into her daily lifestyle. Even just doing 5 minutes for her over a time period made a huge difference to her overall well-being and feeling stressed out. And so I definitely wanted to share this with you because even incorporating small little things into your lifestyle can make a big difference in stress management and your cortisol levels. Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond Symptoms. If you found this episode to be helpful on cortisol levels, I hope that you'll incorporate some of these techniques into your daily lifestyle of stress management and share it with anyone that you might feel would benefit. Please don't forget to visit my website, Dr. Shivani Amin, for more resources and to book a consultation. Until next time, bye.